Hi, this is Mr. O, America's favorite teacher. Now, there's something that everyone needs to know about, especially if you are a student of social science, social studies, history, etc. Okay, and that is BRIC, B-R-I-C. Those are the countries of Brazil, Russia, India, and China coming together as an economic bloc, a political economic bloc. America and the West have NATO, and they're more of a Western bloc for the most part. But now we have a bloc that's taking the Middle East, Africa, and some of South America, putting them together. More people like Pacific Islanders may want to get on board as well. What does that have to do with you? And what does that have to do with America and the West? These are the questions that we will ask and will bring up, and I will give you some information on in a few minutes. So consider this, because what I want you to understand is that when you learn so that you can be able to benefit from it and to make changes if necessary in your life and in your world. You don't just learn to regurgitate and spit out. Many things in every event that happens politically and economically affects you. So we'll get into Nixon, former President Nixon, when he took the dollar off the gold standard, right? And that causes the devaluation of the dollar, okay? And now they're saying that the value of the dollar may fall if these countries start accepting other currencies. So stay tuned, listen, and take notes. Mr. O, BRIC versus NATO. What is Brazil, Russia, India, and China? BRIC. BRIC is an acronym for the developing nations of Brazil, Russia, India, and China. They are countries that some believe will be the dominant suppliers of manufactured goods, services, and raw materials by 2050. And India will become the world's dominant suppliers and manufacturers of goods and services. Brazil and Russia will become similarly dominant as suppliers of raw materials. Investopedia credit. Get ready for this statistic. China owns $981 billion in U.S. debt. That means we owe China nearly $1 trillion. But wait, let us explain. While this number may seem large, the total amount of U.S. treasuries outstanding is more than $30 trillion. And China isn't even the largest foreign holder of American debt. Of late, though, China has been cutting back on U.S. treasuries. So what would happen if Beijing, that's the capital of China, decides to sell off all of their holdings in one day? What impact would that move have on the U.S. economy? And should we be worried? Credit NPR Online. If accepted, the new proposed BRICS members would create an entity with a gross domestic product 30% larger than the United States, over 50% of the global population, and in control of 60% of global gas reserves. That's serious. NATO. What is NATO? Established during the Cold War, NATO is a transatlantic security alliance composed of 31 member countries, including the United States. North Korea is also joining the BRICS alliance. That's new. Just in. North Korea is also joining the BRICS alliance. Former President Nixon took the American dollar off the gold standard August 15th, 1971. What effect did this have on the US dollar? And what is inflation? Questions. Questions for your research, review, and/or class discussion. How can BRIC change international relations? How can BRIC change international relations? How can BRIC change your family's personal income? What is dollar devaluation? How should the US and NATO react to BRIC? Should you prepare for international business as part of your future career? Might you consider a foreign exchange program for school, college, and university? What other forms of money might be useful in the future? Should you invest in the following: gold, cryptocurrency, oil, real estate, electricity? How can you, as a future leader of your country, make the economy better? Are you optimistic or pessimistic about your future? Explain your answer. I hope you understand now. I hope you can answer some questions, have dialogue with your teachers and your students, your fellow students. Maybe have some study groups or go into teams and answer some of the questions that were posed, okay? And look in depth into it. This is not just, some stuff you read and you spit back. This is information and actions that are happening internationally that will change your world. Okay? You may want to consider international business, and you may want to consider going to school and getting, some kind of education overseas and learning different languages and things like that, because the world is changing rapidly. Okay? Mr.O, the hip hop teacher, I gotta go. TheHipHopTeacher.com, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, The Hip Hop Teacher, Mr.O on YouTube. Okay, like, subscribe, share. I'll see you there. Peace, success.